What's up guys, I'm Ivan Calderon and welcome back to another video. So today we're doing something new. Today we're starting a brand new series titled How to Make a Beat. Now, I remember when I was first starting out, I had no idea what production was, much less how to make a beat. As a matter of fact, I remember my first copy of FL Studio back in 05, and I was making some terrible techno beats, because apparently techno was a thing for me back in the day. But anyway, I've been getting questions about this, so I thought this would be a good way for me to not only show you guys my process in depth, but also maybe show you guys a tip or trick or two that you guys can use in your own process. So over the next 4 weeks, I'm going to be going over things like sound selection, laying the foundation, arrangement, and mixing and mastering. Now, as you guys can probably tell from the title of this video, today we're going over sound selection, so let's jump right in. All right, so I'm going to break this video down into 4 sections. Genres, what I'm calling fusion, style, and then I'm going to show you guys what I will be working on for the remainder of this series. Okay, so sound selection. You might be asking, Ivan, well, why is this important? Why is this even a video? Well, to answer that question, you really have to ask yourself, what is a genre? What makes up a genre and why it's important? Let's take, for example, rock and roll. Let's take hip hop and let's take jazz. In each one of those, there's specific sounds, elements, and textures that are iconic enough for people to identify those sounds with the genre. So when I think of rock and roll, I think of guitars. When I think of hip hop, I think of samples and drums. When I think of jazz, I think of saxophone. So as you can see, there's specific elements, instruments, and sounds that people associate to different genres. Now, the first step is to study the game, know what elements, what styles make up specific genres, which will give you a better idea on how to start your own. Now, here's a big disclaimer. Although there are sounds and instruments that kind of make up a genre, they're not absolute. Meaning that there is no one to tell you you can't put an electric guitar on a hip-hop record, right? Which perfectly segues into my next point, which is fusion. And basically what I mean by fusion is the combination, the joining of two different genres. Now, this has been happening forever and will continue to happen forever because that's how art works. People get influenced by each other. I remember someone once said to me, collaboration breeds creativity, and that has probably been the single most resonating piece of advice in my career because it's so true. So with that idea, take the example, the iconic example of hip hop. Hip-hop essentially was a genre that was created from a different genre. So back in the 70s when hip-hop was on the rise, DJs and MCs would take disco records with isolated drum breaks and rap over that. So essentially, disco laid the foundation, literally, for hip-hop. Now, I don't know how well you guys keep up with Pharrell, but last year he produced a soundtrack for a movie called Hidden Figures, which, by the way, is an amazing movie. Definitely go check it out. But towards the end of the soundtrack, there's a record with Kim Burrell. It's a gospel record, and you hear the claps come in, and then all of a sudden an 808 kicks in. Now, that kind of took me by surprise for a little bit because I was not used to hearing an 808, an element that is more common in like trap, hip-hop, but I heard it on a gospel record and it surprised me, but it was a good fusion. They killed it. So that's just another example of a fusion between different genres. So yes, it's important to know foundationally what elements, what sounds and textures make up genres, but at the end of the day, once you start to make beats on your own, you're going to start to get influenced. You're going to start to dabble into different genres and eventually fuse things together, which perfectly segues into my last point, which is style. So once you know the foundation, once you start putting in your hours and making a bunch of beats, you're going to eventually be influenced. You're going to grab from different genres and make your own thing, which leads to what people call your style. Nonetheless, at the foundation, at the core, you have to have an understanding of what sounds, what textures, what elements, what instruments make up a specific genre. Anyway, enough of this. So for the next 4 weeks, what I will be doing is making a beat for you guys throughout this entire process. Now, you are absolutely welcome to make a beat on your own and kind of follow along, or you can just watch me. But what I'll be doing is, for this video, I'll be showing you guys some of the sounds that I've selected already for the beat that I want to make. Next week, I'll show you guys how I recorded or lay the foundation. The following week, I'm going to arrange it for you guys and maybe show you some tips and tricks. And the last week, we're going to mix it and master it and get it ready for distribution. Now, although I'm a huge fan of walking into a session with a blank slate and just letting kind of inspiration take a hold, I am also a huge believer in at least having some level of guidance. So with that being said, for this series, I want to make like a smooth record with some boom bap 90s-esque drums. So let's jump into my software and I'll show you guys what I got. All right, so jumping into my software, the first thing we're gonna see is a sample. Now this will be the most important piece for the beat, especially for something with like 90s-esque drums, old hip hop style. Now I'm not gonna be using old 70s records, disco records to make my beat. I'm gonna keep it a little bit more modern. What I will be using is a sample from Playhouse's Inglorious Sample Chop Kit. Now again, I've mentioned him before, I've used this kit before, but unfortunately it was only a limited time run kit, but go follow him. The guy puts out such dope samples. He doesn't even know I'm promoting this stuff, but he really puts out quality samples that you guys can make beats out of. So I'm gonna link him down below. Definitely check him out. But all right, jumping back in, this is what the sample originally sounds like. Now that right there is from a Billie Eilish. I'm not familiar, so if you guys are, definitely comment down below. Now when it comes to loops like this, I don't like to keep my samples at the same pitch that they came in. I usually pitch them up or down. Now before I started doing the video, I determined that the key of this sample was E minor. I made a video showing you guys how to find the key of a sample, so if you guys want to watch that, definitely go check that out. But this sample is in the key of E minor. I'm gonna go ahead and transpose this down, let's say 2 semitones. Let's see what that sounds like. Let's go lower. Okay. All right, that sounds good. So if we were at E minor, 4 semitones down would leave us at C minor. So the key of this sample in our beat will be in C minor. Now, as far as the drums go, like I said, I want to have real 90s boom bap, like hard hitting drums. Now, what does that sound like? So like I said before, back in the 90s specifically, a lot of hip hop, OG hip hop records were made by sampling other records that had drum sections. So you would take the kick and the snare and the clap and eventually put those into your own sampler and make a beat out of that. So the goal for this beat is to have very live sounding drums. Now I'm gonna see what I have in my library, but I'm also gonna be using a VST called Easy Drummer, which you guys can see here. Essentially what this does, it spreads out a drum kit across your keyboard. So this is especially useful if you like making these type of beats. Anyway, besides the plugin, I do have some drums selected, so let's check them out. Okay, so we have our sample and we have our drums. All we gotta do now is record it, but that will be for next week. Thank you guys for watching this episode. I appreciate you. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Share it if you see fit. Come back next week. We're going to be recording everything. That's all the good part. But again, I appreciate you guys. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you're not already, but I will see you guys on the next one.